Hi, welcome back to day 2 of National Gardening Week. I'm Haley, your host, and I'm here with
Kalina.
And we're actually going to be doing a little how-to today of how to propagate your plant babies and grow your little plant family. So Kalina has actually never propagated before, so we're going to show her a few different techniques and how to make her an even better plant mom. She actually became a plant mom over quarantine and has a few babies of her own. And she's actually new to our team. So welcome Kalina to PlantVine, and she's going to be sticking around and showing you guys a lot more plants here later in the day. So let's get started, and yeah. All right, so first and foremost, before we get started, we need to have a few things before we start propagating. So we're actually going to start off with some gloves. So gloves actually are good because they keep your hands clean and they also keep things sterile. So that way you keep a better clean work environment. So just gloves, they don't have to be gardening gloves. They can actually be rubber gloves, just whatever you've got handy. So we're gonna put those on here in a second. And then we also need some pruning shears. Our grower here suggested pruning shears and not kitchen scissors, but I'm sure if you're in a pinch, you could use kitchen scissors. These are pretty inexpensive. Currently at PlantVine, we don't carry pruning shears, but you can find these on Amazon pretty cheap or at your local garden center. Very important when you're depending upon which technique you're using, is to have a thing of alcohol ready. Any brand of alcohol will work, and then of course a paper towel or a rag. For this video, since we're showing a few different techniques, we actually have a propagation station. So our propagation station is this, and this is actually with a new collaboration that we did with Made with Love. And this is a propagation that we got from them, and they're available on our site. This one's very nice. They come in a few different colors, and they're handmade from a sweet couple in New York. So we've already got these filled with water, so that way we can go ahead and put our cuttings in them. We also have our pot. Our ceramic pot that we have on our site. This is actually a 5-inch ceramic pot that we have. We're going to be doing a cutting where you do put it in soil, so this is the pot we're going to be using. All right, so Kalina's going to come back over here. She was getting some things around behind the scenes. Also, before we go on, I'm going to dip down. We have our indoor potting soil mix. This is a mixture of bark and mulch and perlite. Perlite is good for drainage, and this actually does not have any fertilizer in it, the soil that we sell. So we do that so that way you can add the best soil or best fertilizer to your soil that fits your plant needs. So that's what we're going to be using as far as soil, but any indoor potting soil would do great. So anyways, let's get started. I'm going to be behind the scenes, and Kalina's actually going to be showing you guys the propagation. I'm going to sit this down.
I'm going to start putting on my gloves then.
Yes, that'll be perfect. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to put my gloves on too, so that way if I need to step in, I can step in. All right, so, and you of course can use one glove if you need to, or 2 gloves is fine.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so let's go ahead and show them our first plant. So I'm going to let you take it away with whichever plant you want to start off with first.
So now that we've got our gloves on, we're going to go ahead and start. The first technique that we're going to be showing you guys today is propagation by cuttings. So we're going to be using 2 plants for this purpose today. The first one that we're going to be using is the pothos. And then we're also going to be using the Monstera Adansonii. So this is the full plant, but we've already got the cuttings all set up. So we're gonna start with the pothos today. So I'm gonna let Haley tell me what to do.
Yeah, okay, so we've gone ahead and pre-cut some of our cuttings, but actually what I want to show Kalina really quick is how to cut the cutting. So what you're going to do is if you can hand me the plant. So this is actually what our cutting looks like that we've done already. Before you actually do the cutting on the pothos, you want to actually take your pruning shears and your alcohol, and I'm just going to spray it onto here. And you're going to go ahead and wipe down your pruning shears. This helps prevent any bacteria from spreading between plants. So that way, if this plant for some reason is diseased, it won't spread the disease to another plant. So what you're gonna wanna look for is a good vine on this plant. So from this one, I've already done a cutting, but they've actually got nodes on the plant as well. So whichever way the leaf is growing, so for instance, our leaves are growing up. So the offshoot of the stem is growing up. So you're gonna wanna flip the vine over like this, and you're gonna wanna cut about 1 inch down at an angle here. So I'm gonna let you actually go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So that way you can actually see how to do it. I'm gonna step out.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut here. And easy as that. We've got another cutting right here, and that's how we got this other one that I showed you earlier.
Perfect.
Okay, so now that we've got our cutting, we're gonna go ahead and place it in our propagation station. Now, mind you, you don't necessarily need a propagation station. You could use a shot glass, you could use just a vase that you have sitting around your house. You can recycle something. You basically just need a small container of water. And then what this is gonna do is this is gonna allow your cutting to root. And then in a couple of weeks, it'll have enough root that you'll be able to take it out of your propagation station, and you'll be able to transplant it into a pot, I'm sorry.
And actually, you're gonna wanna make sure that you get enough of the node into the water. So as long as it's in there, you're good. And you can just zhuzh it up after, and voila. So there is our first cutting that you've done. And so we're gonna go ahead and the same technique with the Monstera Adansonii. You can go ahead and pull that one out. And we're gonna do the same thing as well. So Monstera Adansonii actually root very easily from cuttings. So why don't you show them the node? So you can see this one already has some aerial roots or the node coming off of it. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go ahead and place him into our little station. Perfect. So now we've got 2 plants in there, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next plant, which is the Chinese money plant, or the Pilea or Pelea.
All right, so this is our Chinese money plant that we're gonna be using today. As you can see, it has these tiny little pups, and that's what we're gonna be using to propagate today. We're also gonna be propagating this one in water. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna want to pull these little pups, and that's basically it. There's no cutting involved in this one. So you gotta pull it and just make sure that you get the root out and dust off some of the soil, and you're gonna get something similar to this tiny little pup. And then simple as that, what you're gonna wanna do is pop it in the water just like you did with the other 2 cuttings that we had. Like so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So with this guy, you want to make sure he is in the water, but obviously you don't want to drown him in the water. So we should have used a little bit shorter of a glass on him because he was a little baby, but he actually turned out pretty good. So we're going to leave him in there and just kind of monitor him. And so with the Pilea, you can actually propagate in 2 ways. So we're going to actually show you next a soil propagation with the Pilea. So if you want to go ahead and grab the Pilea again, we can get started and show them how to do soil propagation. So just the same technique with the Pilea. What you're going to want to do is go ahead and pull another baby out. So you've got that baby, and I'm going to come in and help you do that. So go ahead and grab the soil, and I can hold the baby for you. Or if you want, I can do the soil. We're amateurs, guys. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and use our organic soil. Fun, always open. And we've got our ceramic pot. We do suggest using, when you're doing propagation with soil, or actually we're not gonna use the ceramic pot. I'm gonna use something a little bit smaller because this baby is tiny. So you don't wanna use something too big if you're putting him in soil. He will grow, but you don't wanna overwhelm him. So I'm gonna save this for our last guy. So I'm gonna use, we have a cup over here. Oh, we've got babies in the cup. So let me go ahead and pull it. So like she said earlier, get creative. So we're gonna use this cup, and what you're gonna wanna do is basically the same thing. You're gonna wanna go ahead and fill it with soil, and once it's full of soil, you just plop it in there, give it some water, make sure it's not overwatering. So that's basically the technique for doing the pilea, but I'm actually gonna save this cup now that I'm thinking about it, just because I don't wanna get it too dirty. We'll plant him and take him home later. He's a little baby. So that's I guess the second technique as far as using the pilea. So I think now we can actually go ahead and do a snake plant, and we're actually going to use our ceramic pot for this one. So our ceramic pot, we definitely do recommend using a pot with drain holes for the cuttings, just because it helps prevent overwatering. You can, if you'd like, put rocks in the bottom. Since this one does have a drain hole, it's removable. For me, I'm gonna actually go ahead and leave the drain hole closed, but you can take it out. So our ceramic pots, oh my goodness, that was kind of scary. Thank you. I'm gonna actually leave ours closed off, or actually I'm not gonna leave it closed off because that would be bad of me teaching. So I'm gonna leave it, open, and we'll put a little saucer underneath so that way it can drain out. So why don't you go ahead and show them the snake plant, and we'll show you how to actually divide the snake plant, because there's a few different ways that you can do it. And then while you're doing that off camera, I'm gonna fill this guy up with soil. So let me come behind you.
Okay, so this is our snake plant. As you can see, let me see if I can show you. So this middle one would be the mother plant, and then these tiny little offshoots would be the pups, and that's what you want to take out when you want to propagate this particular plant. So what you would do is you would take out the plant, the whole thing, and you would take a knife and just try and cut through the roots, but leaving enough root on the pup so that it won't die on you. And then yeah, that's how you get this. We pulled this little baby out a little bit earlier just so we could show you guys. So this is what we're gonna be using in a couple of seconds to show you.
Why don't you just pull it out and we can show them the roots really quick. I'm sure the guys would love to see the roots. Because this is actually our jade honii. It's a bird's nest sansevieria, so we're gonna get a little dirty here. So I already pulled, you can see where I pulled from earlier. This guy was buried in there, so you are gonna have to divide the roots a little bit to get to the rhizomes, so they're actually all kind of connected. Go ahead and twirl it around for them. And you can see it's got point to the pups on there, so that way they can see the pups. So the pups coming out. Yeah, so those are the pups. So the unique thing about snake plants is you can propagate by division, or you can actually cut a leaf in half and root it in water. So we're gonna actually be doing both really quick, and like she said, we've already off camera taken one apart, so that way it would just be a little bit less of a mess. All right, so I'm back. I've got the soil in here. So what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and pop it in. I'm gonna do a little close up for you guys so we can do it after and you guys can see. So what Kalina's gonna do is she's gonna go ahead and dig a little hole in there. You can see I left it about 1 inch off the pot, so that way it has, room. So go ahead and, make sure we cover all the roots in there. You might need to dig a little bit bigger of a hole. They're kind of finicky. But yeah, so she's gone ahead and put her little snake plant baby in there. We're gonna give him some water here in a second. So let me go ahead and grab the water so that way we can show you a watering technique. Well, I say watering technique. This is gonna be a horrible example because it's a snake plant. And by the way, snake plants don't need to be watered even if you're doing them from cutting, like maybe once a month. So I'm gonna let you pour this. Don't pour too much. By the way, watering is the hardest technique to teach. So just pour a little bit and a little bit around, and that's good. So that should be enough water. Of course, the drain hole, well, it's sitting on top because it is gonna soak in because the soil is very dry. But it should soak in here shortly. And we might give it a little bit of water here in a little bit. But as far as that, you don't want to basically overwater your snake plant too as well. So, and then eventually, just like the plant that we had, it's gonna eventually come out and puff up too as well. So that is one technique with this Sansevieria that you can use, and that goes for any type of Sansevieria. So we're gonna show you one last technique, and that is actually going to be our propagation of the snake plant. So if you go ahead and grab the snake plant, I'm gonna step off camera again. We're going to actually propagate him from a leaf. So what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and sanitize your shears again. Yeah, we can move them out of the way. And that way we can prevent any diseases or anything going to that one. So this is a pretty simple technique. What you're gonna wanna do, maybe do a smaller leaf so that way, yeah, we're gonna pick a smaller leaf so we can stick them in there. Maybe from one of the babies down here.
Okay.
So we're actually gonna take from the baby. So what you're gonna wanna do is just simply cut the leaf in half. And that's it. So right now, I'm gonna just walk over here so I can show you guys more in front, is we've got this little cutting, so you can see how it doesn't have any roots, so we actually need to root it in water. And these are pretty easy to root in water, and honestly, it probably will take trial and error because sometimes they do stay in water too long and then they get mushy. So it is trial and error, so don't be discouraged if you don't have a successful rooting the first time. So we might need to add a little bit of water. Yeah, go ahead and bring him over. So he's a little too low, so maybe see if we don't spill anything. Terrible at this. You can do it. Yay! Okay, that might be enough. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stick him in there, and it is going to be very easy. So all you're gonna wanna do is that. And he should go ahead and root in some water. In a few weeks, I'm gonna move over a little bit so they can probably see me, I'm probably off on the side. So in a few weeks, these guys are gonna start producing roots. And yeah, that's pretty simple as that. And once they've started producing enough roots and they've kind of filled up with roots, we'll probably insert a few photos here to show you guys so that way you can see what the roots do look like. And once they've kind of rooted really well in, you're gonna go ahead and transfer all the babies to soil. And of course, definitely put them in a smaller pot. This little 5-inch pot might be just a tad too big for this size cutting, but this is what we had at our nursery today and for the size that we were doing, and it just kind of worked. But like I said, get creative and everything. So I guess that's it for today's video. We did a few different techniques. I don't know if you have any questions.
I don't have any questions. This has been all very informative. Like we said at the beginning, I'm a new plant mom. I have a whole 3.5 plants. The half is because I have a little Chinese money plant pup thing that she gave me actually a couple days ago. So I mean, I'm gonna have a few more now because I'm gonna keep these by my desk until they root so I can repot them. So this has been great.
Yeah, and she could do a little update moment here in a few weeks on them. And by the way, guys, don't get discouraged. Like, propagating is trial and error. So if you lose all of your first few cuttings, don't be worried, try again. It's just one of those things that is trial and error and that you will learn a lot from. And also, this is a fun activity to do with kids or just in general as a person that loves plants. You can just see how like the life cycle works and everything, and it's very fulfilling, and eventually you'll be either A, giving cuttings to your friends or growing a whole jungle in your home.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was so much fun. Honestly, guys, this was like one of our first videos to do, so
yeah,
don't be mad if we kind of just like goofed off.
So I also wanted to mention, if you guys have any questions about this or any other topic related to plants, feel free to just reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you out. So I'm new to this whole thing, so I'll be learning along with you guys, but Haley has a lot of knowledge on all things plants, so she definitely will be of some help if you guys have any doubts about anything. So yeah.
So do you want to tell them what we're doing tomorrow, because we've got another fun day planned?
Yes, so for day 3 of National Gardening Week, we're going to be interviewing Daryl from Daryl's Discoveries. He's actually the founder of our company, one of the founders of our company.
Yeah.
And lately we had to take a little bit of a break from Daryl's Discoveries because of weather conditions and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, his rare plants, they don't survive cold temperatures, guys. So
Yeah.
he's got a lot growing, and we're ready to honestly show them to you. So we'll get a little sneak peek tomorrow, and it'll be live. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a live. So feel free to just check in and like ask some questions that he'll be happy to answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be tomorrow. So stay tuned.
Yep, and I think we're gonna go live probably around lunchtime, so either 12 or 1 p.m. Eastern, give or take. We'll announce after this video when that will happen, so that way you'll know in the notes or the whatever it's called, the post. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, and if you, like she said, if you have any questions, have a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Bye.